welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Shannon, and this is Shannon's Book Nook. And today we are going to be talking about all of the books that I have on my Kindle Unlimited TBR. And there are quite a few, so strap in. This might be a long one. Okay, so I currently have 19 books checked out with Kindle Unlimited. You can have up to 20. I really thought I had 20 books checked out, but I guess I sent one in. Honestly, can't remember what book that was. But I have my all of my Kindle Unlimited books sorted in alphabetical order by the author's name. So let's just get into it. The first book that I have on the list is A Cage of Crimson by K.F. Breen. This is book 5 in the Deliciously Dark fairy tale series. This I recently came out. Let's see, the release date was June 27th. So it's been out for about a month. And the synopsis says, I'm going to have to pause because my RoboVac just turned on. Just waiting for it to go back home. Almost there. Goodness. Sorry about that. Before I was rudely interrupted, the synopsis for A Cage of Crimson says, of all the people in the world, why her? It was supposed to be find the drug maker, find her and drag her back to the dragons to deal with. She deserves death for what she's done. For someone like Weston, the best alpha in the world, who we did meet in the previous books, the one who shuts people up just by walking in the room, it would have been, until he learns what she is. Finding a fated mate is nearly impossible. Very few are able to do it, but the call of their bond is unmistakable. Against all odds, and in the worst situation imaginable, he's found his true mate. So the synopsis goes on. I cannot wait to get back into this series. It's been a little bit, but since this is more like a spinoff because we're following Weston, I think I'll be fine. Because in the other books, we follow Nafane and Finley, I think is the girl's name. And they're both shifters, dragon shifters. And Weston is a wolf shifter and he is an alpha on top of it. So I'm super excited to get into this book. All right, the next book that I have is The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, which is book 1 in the Crown of Nyaxia series. This follows a human and a vampire, I believe. I am actually currently reading this one, but I am only like 50 pages in, so I'm not too far in. I do know that the main female character is human and she has been raised by a vampire king. That's pretty much what I know. And she is in some kind of like tournament and or challenge where she's going up against other vampires, which is quite interesting. So I'll just read the synopsis here, and it says, human or vampire, the rules of survival are the same. Never trust, never yield, and always, always guard your heart. The adopted human daughter of the night-born vampire king Urea carved her place in a world designed to kill her. Her only chance to become something more than prey is entering the Kajari, a legendary tournament held by the goddess of death herself. But winning won't be easy amongst the most vicious warriors from all 3 vampire houses. To survive, Araya is forced to make an alliance with a mysterious rival. Everything about Rain is dangerous. He is a ruthless vampire, an efficient killer, an enemy to her father's crown, and her greatest competition. Yet what terrifies Araya most of all is that she finds herself oddly drawn to him. I don't want to read anymore. I don't like to read the entire synopsis. If you do, you boo. You can go look it up. But I don't want to spoil myself. I feel like sometimes the synopsis gives too much. So I'm going to stop there. All right, so the next book that I have is called Torn by Corinne Cole. This is a contemporary romance, I believe. Uh, I don't know much about it, but Penelope Douglas is has made like a little quote that says well written tension and forbidden longing. And if Penelope Douglas has read this, this makes me think it might be a little taboo. So let's read what it says. When I was 5 years old, I told Taryn Grace we were going to get married someday. He'd been my best friend, my protector, and my rock since the day I was born. He was my world. In fact, his name was my very first word. He wasn't just my favorite person, though. He was also my dad's best friend and my pseudo uncle. I might not like this one now that I'm looking at it. But during my senior year of high school, our relationship slowly changed. Innocent friendship turned to stolen glances, silly conversations morphed into serious heart to hearts. And then one day, an unexpected, smoldering kiss changed everything. While that kiss was everything I'd ever dreamed of, it knocked Tor clear off his axis. He's one of the good guys, loving and devoted with a strong moral compass, which makes it impossible for him to accept our feelings for each other. Because not only are we both the one person the other should never ever want, I'm 18 and Tor is 15 years older than me. Despite that, the heart wants what the heart wants, and ours have decided we're meant to be together no matter what. Yeah, this is going to be a question mark for me. I honestly, like I said about synopsis, I don't read them very often, but this sounds a lot like a book that I read last month and I gave it 2 stars because I didn't like it. I'm going to give it a chance because I like a good age gap, but we will see. Okay, so the next book that I have is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I have heard such great things about this duology, and I cannot wait. This is book one in the Shepherd King duology, and it says Elspeth needs a monster. The monster might be her. Elspeth Spindle needs more than luck to stay safe in the eerie, mislocked kingdom of Blunder. She needs a monster. She calls him the Nightmare, an ancient spirit trapped in her head. He protects her. He keeps her secrets. But nothing comes for free, especially magic. When Elspeth meets a mysterious highwayman on the forest road, her life takes a drastic turn. Thrust into a world of shadow and deception, she joins a dangerous quest to cure Blunder from the dark magic infecting it. And the highwayman, he just so happens to be the king's nephew, captain of the most dangerous men in Blunder, and guilty of high treason. Together, they must gather 12 Providence guards, the keys to the cure. But as the stakes heighten and their undeniable attraction intensifies, Elspeth is forced to face her darkest secret yet. The nightmare is slowly taking over her mind, and she might not be able to stop him. Oh my God, that sounds awesome. I kind of want to get my book club to read this duology next. If we're going to be waiting a little bit for book 4 to come out in the Kindred Curse saga, I kind of just want to read this duology. It's 2 books. I mean, it's going to take us 2 months. So, yeah, I kind of want to put that out there for them. We'll have to see. I'm excited about this one. Alrighty, so the next book I have on my list is Older by Jennifer Hartman. I loved Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. Now, that was a very dark romance. And I am thinking that this will probably also be a little dark, because it does talk about abuse. So the synopsis says, before he discovered my age, he uncovered my heart. Bruised and abused and victim to a loveless household, I shimmered with new life the moment he found me drowning my sorrows in a lake beneath the stars. A chance encounter, an unspoken connection. I was smitten, he was curious. But as everyone knew, fate could be decidedly cruel. He called me Haley, like the comment. I called him Reed, and my best friend? Well, she called him Dad. Older is a forbidden, slow burn, age gap romance standalone. So, yeah, this one sounds like it's going to be a tough one to read, but I am excited to read it. Up next, I have King of Pride by Anna Huang. This is the second book, I believe. Yes, second book in the Kings of Sin series. I have really enjoyed most of the books that Anna Huang has put out. This one says she's his opposite in every way and the greatest temptation he's ever known. Reserved, controlled, and proper to a fault, Kai Young has neither the time nor inclination for chaos. And Isabel, with her purple hair and inappropriate jokes, is chaos personified. With a crucial CEO vote looming and a media empire at stake, the billionaire heir can't afford the distraction she brings. Isabel is everything he shouldn't want, but with every look and every touch, he's tempted to break all his rules and claim her as his own. I just got really, really excited to read this one. So, this one is probably going to show up on my August TBR, and I cannot wait. Next, I have Lola and the Millionaires by Catherine Moon. So, this is a reverse harem and Omega Verse book. Let's see. It says Lola Barnes only wants one thing to get her life under control. No more chasing alphas who abuse and toss away betas like her. No more hiding in her cousin's apartment, licking wounds that won't heal. Armed with her dream job and her less than dreamy apartment, Lola is ready to start a new chapter of her life without alphas. But that's easier said than done when one stumbling incident after another leads Lola closer to an alluring pack of captivating men. These alphas are everything Lola dreamed of, but they already have an Omega, a playful male model who won't stop flirting with her. And Lola is only a beta who one who comes with deep scars and an unshakable aversion to alphas and their powerful presence. If only she could resist their pack. If only she could resist their perfect beta, Leo, whose patience and determination to see her heal breaks down one wall after another. I don't read a lot of Omegaverse, but I've been recommended this series um, by a friend over on Instagram, and I am excited to read it because I do like Omegaverse. I know it's not for everybody. There are some people who do not like the whole shifter thing, the wolf thing, and all that. So, and I get it. It sometimes can be a little weird, but I enjoy reading about it. So I'm going to hopefully get to this one relatively soon because it's been sitting on my TBR for quite a while. Then we have Garnet Flats by Devney Perry. This is part of the Eden series. This is book 3, and I have really enjoyed book 1 and 2. I have not heard great things about book 3. So I am worried about going into this one. So I believe this is a second chance romance on top of being a sports romance, according to Goodreads. It says, get ready for small towns stirred by mystery and desire in the Eden series. intense third story. For 1 year, 2 months, and 11 days, Talia Eden loved Foster Madden. And on the 438th day, that love died. He chose to marry her best friend, and she chose to never think of him again. Until years later, when he has the audacity to show up in her small hometown of Quincy begging for her help. The ink on his divorce paper is barely dry, yet he comes armed with apologies and promises. She knows it's all a ploy. Foster is the king of games and secrets, but he's got delusions the size of Montana if he thinks she'll help him train for a world championship fight. Okay, look, I now I get it. This man, woo, okay, I can see why people might have a problem with that. Yeah, I'm a little skeptical too. We'll see what happens when I read this book. So, up next, we have A Kingdom of Blood and Betrayal by Holly Renee. This is book 2 in the Stars and Shadows series. And to be quite honest, it's been a while since I've read book 1. So, I will probably have to look up the synopsis or some reviews with spoilers to kind of refresh my memory because honestly, I'm not sure I remember what happened in book 1. But in book 2, the synopsis reads, my fate is bonded to two princes, one born of blood, the other of power, but my trust lies in neither. My skin is cursed by the stars, my fate damned by desire. But when the Dark Prince offers me a bargain that will save his people and my life, the cruel and intoxicating male gives me no choice. Our union is his revenge, and I am his sacrifice. His lies are unforgivable. His wicked touch still bathes me in sin. He is my mate, and he is tortured by a curse to protect his people from his own family. I could now see him for exactly who he was. So why can't I get his alluring touch out of my head? I am the key to saving his kingdom, but he alone has the power to ruin me. So this is a fantasy romance with fae and vampires, I believe. Like I said, I'm gonna have to refresh my memory on what happens in book 1 because there are only a few little details that were popping up when I read that synopsis. So we're gonna have to do some digging on that one before I read book 2. So then I have Blood Mercy by Vila Roth. This is another fantasy romance, and it says one human, one immortal. Will their alliance save the kingdom, or will their forbidden love be a death sentence? When Cassia seeks out a Hespeриan, he could end her mortal life in a heartbeat, but she has no fear of his magic or his fangs. She knows the real monster is the human king, her father. If he finds out she's bargaining with his enemy, he'll send her to the executioner. As a Hesperian diplomat, Leo must negotiate with mortals who hate him. Cassia is different, but politics aren't why she captivates the gentle immortal. He wants more than her blood, and if he can't resist the temptation, he'll provoke the war he's trying to prevent. So I've heard that this is a slow burn, lots of politics, and the main male character is like a cinnamon roll. So I am excited for this one, and I cannot wait to get into it. Okay, so the next one I have is I actually have 2 by this author, and I'm not quite sure if I should read which one I should read first because one is technically a standalone, but I've heard it's kind of connected and will help me better understand the series as a whole better. So if you know the answer to this question, please let me know. The next one is called Blood and Steel by Helen Schuer. I'm not quite sure I'm saying that right. So I need to do some research on how to say this author's last name. I apologize. But Blood and Steel is book one in the Legends of Thesmar. The question that I have is, there's another book called The Slaying of the Shadow Prince, and I'm wondering if that book is tied to this series somehow and which one I should read first. So if you know the answer to that question, can you let me know in the comments, because I need to know which one to read first. I've tried looking it up and I don't get much of an answer. So if they're not even connected, that'd be great to know too. So Blood and Steel says perfect for fans of the Bridge Kingdom, From Blood and Ash, and The Witcher. Blood and Steel is an epic romantic fantasy with enemies to lovers, slow burn spice, found family, and a sprawling world of magic and monsters. With her death foretold, Althea Zoltar only has 3 years to become what she's always dreamed of being, a warrior legend. Women are forbidden to wield blades, so she has trained in secret her entire life. Now racing against the clock, she fights to secure her place in the elite guard charged with the protection of the Five Kingdoms. The sparring and hazing of the new trainees border on deadly, but even more dangerous is her growing attraction to Wilder Hawthorne, her unwilling warrior chaperone. All around them, schemes are afoot and darkness looms. Will Althea pass the perilous initiation test and take her place as a champion of Thesmar, or will the invading evil snatch away her dream before it starts? I'm really excited about this one. So, the other book that I was talking about, Slaying the Shadow Prince, is also a fantasy romance. And it says, in a realm on the brink of destruction, evil forces snatch innocents to suffer fates worse than death. Only a monster hunter and her monstrous enemy can stop them. Drew Emerson, a noblewoman turned ranger, wants one vengeance. With her family slain by the vicious shadow wraiths, she's determined to defend her fallen kingdom. And that means carving out the hearts of every dark creature she can find. Taelmir Starling, celebrated warrior of the realms, he's has a dangerous, he's a half wraith, kin to the creatures wreaking devastation on the world. He'll do anything to keep his true nature under control, especially around the woman who's vowed to destroy him. So it does say that this is a standalone installment, but it sounds like there's monsters in this too. Yeah, so I still have the question. Is this book, Slaying the Shadow Prince, connected to the other series, Blood and Steel, that I was just talking about? So, yeah, question still there. Alrighty, up next, just keep them rolling. I have Bad Mother by Mia Sheridan. I have not read a book by this author yet, but I have heard really good things. And so this is a thriller, and it says, from New York Times bestselling author Mia Sheridan comes the twisted story of one detective's pursuit of a serial killer who's taunting her, and the familiar connection between them that's haunting her. When Sienna Walker is nearly fired from the NYPD, the last thing she expects is a second chance in the one place she vowed never to return to. But she can't afford to turn down the job offer, even if a painful, familiar past and a broken engagement hardly make Reno, Nevada home sweet home. It's made even less sweet by Sienna's first case, a serial killer with a curious fixation on her. Along with his victims, the killer leaves perplexing clues and chilling journal entries addressed to Sienna detailing the murders he claims his mother committed. The case continues to get personal when her ex fiance is called out by the killer as well. Whoever's behind the diabolical murders, Sienna can only be sure of one thing: it's someone close to home. Holy tamale, that sounds good. Then I have Heartless by Elsie Silver. Now, I did not like the first book in this series. I ended up giving it 2 stars. So I'm really hoping that this book can kind of pull me in, since it's a trope that I tend to enjoy, which is a nanny and a single dad, and the single dad is kind of grumpy. So the synopsis reads, and I'm just going to read the first little bold point. It says, working as a nanny for the world's grumpiest single dad should have been simple, except I can't keep my eyes off of him, and he can't keep his hands off of me. Cade Eaton is 13 years older than I am and barely looks my way until I get him into the hot tub one night for a game of truth or dare. Then all bets are off, and so are our clothes. Again, I'm hoping this is the one that will kind of pull me in, because I've only read one Elsie Silver book for me and it was kind of a dud. So hopefully this one will work. Up next, we have A Court This Cruel and Lovely, which is by Stacia Stark. This is book one of the Kingdom of Lies series. It is a fantasy romance, and it was nominated for Best Romantasy in 2023. So I'm hoping will be a good fantasy romance. So it says, for years when I fell asleep, I dreamed of a man with blazing green eyes and a cruel smile. The day I met him, the ruthless mercenary leaves me for dead. Whoa. Just hours after humans are born, the gods take what little power we have. In return, they protect our borders from the vicious, merciless Fae. Fae. Got some keywords here. The humans who manage to keep their power are known as the corrupt, and they are burned. When my forbidden power is discovered, I'm forced to flee my tiny village and the life I adore. To survive, I make a desperate bargain with the mercenary who abandoned me at my weakness, my weakest. Our deal is simple. I'll help him and his mysterious friend sneak into the city, and he'll help me learn to wield the strange dark power I've always kept hidden. The power that may just be the key to my survival. But the ruthless mercenary is hiding secrets of his own, secrets that threaten the safety of everyone I love, secrets that could tear this kingdom and perhaps even this world apart. It does say that this is a new adult slash adult romantasy book with Steam. It is a slow burn, and the chili pepper rating will increase for each book. Yeah. Yeah. I'm hoping I can get to this one in August for sure. And then we have The Wrong Pitch by Brittany Taylor, which is a sports romance, if I remember correctly. Uh, I think yeah, it's baseball because I'm looking at the cover. It is definitely baseball. It says, I couldn't possibly have been more wrong the night I tackled Hunter Moore to the ground in the middle of the night. To be fair, the street was pitch black. The wheel to my suitcase had popped off, and I found myself face to face with a stranger charging at me. My instincts had kicked in, and instead, I landed him straight on his back with my knee pressed to his chest. Turns out the stranger I tackled to the ground was my brother's roommate, which meant he was also mine. With my dreams coming to a screeching halt, I was left with no other choice than to move in with my brother and his roommate. Hunter Moore was star pitcher for the Northeast Rebels. Although I'd found his incessant talk of baseball obnoxious, I couldn't help but relate to how deep his passion ran, even if our dreams were completely different. With a shared bathroom and a single wall between our bedrooms, we couldn't resist pushing the boundaries. Potent green eyes, perfectly sculpted muscle, I was inevitably drawn in. But the closer we became, the more I learned just how dedicated Hunter was to his dream, no matter the cost. Only I was unaware he'd already traded mine for his. Interesting. I love me a good sports romance, and I've recently come to really enjoy baseball sports romances. So I'm super hyped for this one. Up next, we have Bewitched by Laura Thalassa. This book is, I think, set in the same world as the Bargainer series, which I absolutely loved. So I can't wait to get back into it. I do know it follows different characters, just it's just set in the same world. So the synopsis is: Come to me, Empress. At age 20, Celine Bowers desperately hopes to be accepted into Henbane Coven, an academy for young witches. Since one of the requirements for entry is to connect with her powers via a quest through the wilderness, Celine books a trip to South America. When a nefarious supernatural force tries to drag her plane from the sky, Celine's magic awakens to save her life at a cost. Using her powers devours her memories one by one. Worse, when Celine braves the jungle and discovers the source of the attack, she finds herself awakening an ancient evil. Memnon the Cursed, who mistakes Celine for his long dead wife, the wife who betrayed him. Celine manages to escape and begin her studies at Henbane, but when Memnon turns up at the coven and witches are found dead across campus, Celine becomes entangled in a dangerous plot. Accused of the murder, accused of the murders on the basis of her memory loss, Celine must rely on Memnon's help for answers, and his plan for her will change everything. Ooh, that sounds, I mean, all of these books are sounding great. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't have, checked them out on KU. So there's that. All right, last but not least, here we go. We are on the last two books, and they are by the same author because they're in the same series, and that's Windy City. It's book one and book four. I've already read book three, and I have not read book two yet. I have a question mark on that book right now. But Mile High, which is by Liz Tomford, features Xanders, who is a hockey player in Chicago. And the synopsis reads: Chicago hockey isn't complete without me, everyone's favorite player to hate. I know my role and I play it well. In fact, I thoroughly enjoy spending the majority of the game in the penalty box before leaving the arena with a new girl on my arm each night. What I don't like is the new flight attendant on our team's private plane. She works for me, not the other way around. But I'll be sure to remind her of that, and I can guarantee by the end of the season she'll be begging to quit her job. But every road trip blurs the lines, and I can't quite figure out if I keep pushing the flight attendant call button in order to push her buttons, or if it's more than that. And so the flight attendant is Stevie, and I cannot wait to read about Xanders and Stevie. They were featured in the book Caught Up, but we don't get much information other than the fact that they're in a relationship. So the other book is a new release. It just came out like maybe a couple weeks ago, and that is called Play Along. Now, Play Along is book four, and it features Kennedy, who is the baseball team in Chicago, the Windy City Warriors. She is on the staff. I believe she's like the doctor or the trainer. She does something for the team. And there's a player, Isaiah, who I think is the brother to Kai, who we see in Caught Up. And he is impulsive and reckless and very charming. And he is constantly flirting with Kennedy in the book. And so we find out something happens in Caught Up. And so we're going to kind of get the holes that we the information that we don't have from caught up play along is going to fill in the holes. So the synopsis says, I'm the only woman on staff for the Windy City Warriors. And after years of putting up with a sexist lead doctor, I'm desperate to land my dream job with a new team next year. All I have to do is maintain my professional reputation for my final season in Chicago. But a Las Vegas run in with the team's shortstop threatens it all, leaving me with a fuzzy memory and a ring on my left hand. Now, not only am I legally bound to the most persistent man I've ever met, but thanks to Isaiah's scheme to save my job, I have to pretend the whole thing was a planned elopement and not a drunken mistake. Isaiah is reckless, impulsive, and frustratingly charming. He is also my brand new husband. They got the saying wrong. What happens in Vegas doesn't always stay in Vegas. Sometimes it follows you right back home. Y'all, this series, like, if you watch my mid-year wrap up, Caught Up is one of my favorite books of the year so far, and I am so excited for play along. Like, I'm excited for Mile High, but I think I'm more excited for Isaiah and Kennedy's story. I don't know why. I think it's Isaiah and Kennedy, their chemistry together, and just I can't wait. I'm so excited. So there you go. There you have it. That's all the books that I have on my Kindle Unlimited checked out for my TBR. Look, I wouldn't have checked these books out if I didn't plan on reading them, if I wasn't excited about them. However, some of them have been sitting on my Kindle Unlimited checkout for quite a while, especially some of the fantasy romance, because, once I start a series, I want to try and finish it before I read the next another series, because fantasy romance tend to follow the same uh, ride. They tend to follow the same line. So I don't want to get things confused. So I only tend to read one fantasy romance series at a time. But I am super excited for all of these books. And if there is a book that you are looking forward to reading, or you have on your radar, let me know down in the comments. And don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to. If you want to find me on any of my other socials, you'll find them down in the description box. And if you want to just let me know that you were here, leave me a phone emoji, because I know there's no Kindle emoji. Leave me a phone emoji for digital. That's it from me today, guys. Have a good day.